Hi. The way that I've just not paid attention to my bangs all day because I've just been working from home and sitting here looking like the mayor of Whoville or like Daphne Bridgerton season 1. So we're not gonna do that. We're gonna put on a little headband because I simply don't have time for it today. I have all the time in the world actually, which is why I'm filming this video. I'm just lazy. So hi guys, you might have picked up on this little cycle that I've been going through the last year and a half or so, where every 3 months-ish, I kind of get into like a bit of a reading slump where what I'm reading just like isn't interesting me. I kind of will start a few books and DNF them, just like not know what I'm in the mood for, and I always end up going back to thrillers. I am just a fan of thrillers, something about them. They all are just kind of like the perfect length, you know, you can kind of get through them really fast. I just like how they grip your attention. Like it's kind of physically impossible to not get into them, especially like psychological thrillers. I'm just a big fan. I've talked about quite a few of them on my channel. So yeah, I'm kind of back on that kick again. I've read a few thrillers recently and I'm just gonna ride the wave. So I thought, since I'm gonna just be reading thrillers this week, that it would make sense to do a vlog where I just read thrillers for a week. So that's what we're gonna do, just a chill, chatty little video where I kind of read, check in. I'm not gonna do spoilers for this. I'm just gonna kind of tell you my general thoughts on the books and give like synopsises without giving away any big plot twists or anything. But yeah, I did this a while ago with only Freida McFadden books and you guys really liked that video. So very happy to do it again because this is easy and this is fun and I love feeling like I'm just like talking on FaceTime to a friend as I'm reading books. But yeah guys, I started this intro because I am about to start this new book called Hidden Pictures by Jason Rekulak? Jason Rekulak. I say new, it's new to me. I have been wanting to read this book ever since before it came out. I remember the first time I saw it, just the cover. You guys know I love trees. Anything with like a tree sort of vibe is gonna immediately grab my attention. So I wanted to read this, but it was only available in hardback for the longest time and I am a hardback hater, as y'all know. So I did not read it, put it off. Anyways, long story short, I found the other day randomly it's on Kindle Unlimited. I don't know if it's been there for a while and I didn't know, but regardless, now is the time. I have absolutely no idea what this is about. Again, it looks like something in the wilderness, camping perhaps, I don't know. Hidden pictures, I feel like, is it children that draw pictures? Me literally guessing, I have no idea. No idea. But yeah, that is the point of this. I'm just going to start it, and when I get a good chunk in and I have a better idea of what is going on, I will check in with you guys. But yeah, I'm excited. I haven't done a reading vlog in a while, so should be a good time. Okay, hello guys. I had to check in because I absolutely flew through the first like third of Hidden Pictures. I kind of didn't even realize I was that far in and I was like, okay, I need to tell them what's going on. Very gripping, very just like easy to read so far. Basically the story is about this girl named Mallory. She is in her early 20s, like about college age, and she's a recovering drug addict. So she's actually been sober for like a year and a half, and she's in this program where she kind of has like a sponsor, and she's been in this like house for people that are recovering, and they pretty much help place those people in jobs. So she gets this job interview to be a nanny for this really like wealthy family that's staying in this place for the summer, and they need someone to watch their child during the summer before he goes back to school. He's this little kid, he's starting kindergarten, so he's like 4, but goes in, has an interview. The family seems pretty normal. They do have some pretty strict rules with her. She comes in wearing her little cross necklace. She is like a Christian, and the family are atheists, and so they kind of give her some rules. They're like, they are chill, but they say, you know, we want to teach our son science, so don't talk about religion with him and don't give him too much junk food, but other than that, just like play with him, have a good time. So they seem pretty normal. The dad is really kind of more strict, it seems, off the bat, rather than the mother. The mother seems really sweet and just really likes Mallory off the bat, like kind of almost too much. She's like, why do you like me so much? I don't really know. But the dad is way more hesitant to hire someone that's like been a drug addict and just doesn't know how he feels about it. Anyway, she doesn't think she has any chance of getting the job, but the family calls right away. The mother wants to hire her, so she is now the nanny, and she's watching this little kid. The dad's name is Ted and the kid's name is Teddy. So the kid seems pretty sweet, and he has this like obsession with drawing. Like he's always drawing pictures, which hidden pictures, I had a feeling it was something about a kid and drawings. Maybe I heard that through the grapevine and I'm trying to tell myself like, oh, I just knew. But this is definitely a book you need to like physically read or read on your Kindle, because a lot of the book is drawings. Like you get to actually see these drawings that Teddy makes. I don't know if this is gonna focus. Yeah, you get to see these drawings. So she kind of describes them, and most of them seem like really sweet. You know, I'll kind of click through these, like, oh, birdies, whatever. Oh, playing a game. And then you get to like some that are a little more weird, like this. So Teddy basically has this like imaginary friend named Anya. And he always says like, oh, Anya told me to draw this, or Anya said we're gonna play a game or whatever. And so his parents think like, it's just his imaginary friend, whatever, it's not a big deal. And Mallory thinks that too, but like things start to get a little more weird when it comes to Anya. And also one thing I didn't mention is Mallory is living on the property. They have like a little cabin kind of in their backyard that's kind of, there's sort of like woods behind the house, but there is like a little cabin out there that she's staying in. So a lot going on. She's kind of alone during the day with Teddy, watching him. Things at night are a little weird in the cabin. She's hearing some like creaking weird sounds. Kind of feels like she's being watched, but doesn't know if she's just being paranoid. And Teddy's drawing these pictures. They're getting stranger and stranger. And now things are happening like Mallory's walking into her cabin that was locked, and she's like finding the pictures like on her fridge and stuff. So that's kind of where we are. There have been some things happening where I'm starting to wonder if like we can trust the family, you know? Because like I said, the mom was really overly nice to her whenever she first got there, and now it's seeming like some things are kind of slipping through the cracks, and the mom is getting like, I don't know, kind of having little outbursts, or she kind of has like anger issues where she just kind of snaps here and there. And so it's like, I don't know who to trust or what is going on here. I can't tell if this is like a paranormal thing happening, or if it's totally not paranormal and it's somebody messing with her. I don't know what like the outcome of this book is going to be. I have absolutely no idea what direction it's going in, but things are definitely interesting because Mallory's getting creeped out, but like I said, because the parents are very like science-based people, she doesn't want to hear anything about like, oh, is this maybe like a ghost? Is it, you know, is it a ghost that he's talking to rather than like an imaginary friend? Like they will not hear it. So Mallory just like doesn't know what to do. And there's also some other characters involved, like some neighbors that she's meeting and stuff. And like, I just don't know who to trust. I also don't know what her like being a drug addict really has to do with the story, because it's not, I mean, it's the reason she got the job, you know, but I don't know if that's gonna play in. Is this gonna be something where it's like this was all one big drug trip? I truly don't know. So I'm not gonna give any spoilers as to what happens, but I will let you guys know my sort of like reaction to it once I finish it. I'll probably just finish it before I check in again, unless something like crazy happens and I need to react. But I think I'm gonna fly through and finish this tonight because I really just need to know what's gonna happen. And yeah, I'm obviously really liking it so far. So far so good. Okay, I don't know what kind of weird intuition I had, but I think it's so funny that I said like, I probably won't check in unless something crazy happens. Something absolutely crazy happened. I am 75% in. In no way, shape, or form did I think this is where the story was going. Like, we've got this kid, we're seeing these weird pictures. We don't know where they're coming from, what they mean. You've got the imaginary friend, Anya. There's so much going on, and it kind of, the story, honestly, I don't feel like it's really a traditional thriller. It almost kind of turned into like a bit of a mystery. You're trying to figure out like what is going on here. And the paranormally elements that I thought it was gonna have haven't really happened. Like, I thought it was gonna be more of a straight up creepy, you know, thriller of kind of not jump scares, you know what I mean? I thought it was gonna be scarier, but it was more of like a mystery. It was more just like, what is going on here? And I've been very invested, but suddenly this reveal happens out of kind of nowhere, and it is, if somebody predicted this, I'm like, you are far smarter than I am, because I never would have seen that coming. And still right now, I don't totally know what's going on. Like, more is clearly gonna be explained, but I am so shook right now, and there's still 25% left. So definitely really enjoying this book. Sorry, my brain malfunctioned. It's 1 in the morning, but it's a Friday, so we're having a good time. Really enjoying this so far. Very interested to see how it ends. I will definitely check in at the end, but wow. Guys, I will be quite honest with you. It is 3 a.m. right now. I should have stopped. I couldn't stop. He knows I couldn't stop. This book was so good. It's one of the best thrillers I have read in a hot minute. And it's funny, I am realizing, I got to the acknowledgements and the author was talking about how this was a mystery book, and he's like, I had this vision to write this illustrated mystery book, and I'm like, oh, so was this not ever a thriller? Maybe I just assumed it was a thriller just because it had that sort of look to it. This was really such a unique book. Like, there were so many elements to it. Like I said, you know, it is sort of a mystery, but it does have kind of the paranormal aspects. I kind of said it didn't, but there were elements of that for sure in there. There were a lot of, like, I'm trying to pull out my English knowledge from high school. Red herrings. A red herring is like something that kind of is there but doesn't have meaning, and it kind of distracts you, I think is what that means, or I'm just making something up. But there was a lot happening in the book that kind of diverted your attention, and things that made you wonder, like, is this what the story's really about, or is this really important, or like, do I trust this character, do I not trust it? Like, there's a lot of kind of characters in the story, and you know, I'm suspicious of everyone when I'm reading a thriller or a mystery or whatever, because you don't know who to trust. And up until the very end, I wasn't quite sure. I had an idea, but I wasn't quite sure. And again, like, the whole twist of this, when it was said, I had to go back a few pages because I was like, okay, I clearly missed something. I must have skimmed over something and missed it. And I was like, let me go back. And I was like, nope, I did not miss it. Like, there was just kind of a bomb dropped, and like all at once, you kind of figure everything out. And then it plays out and it gets even more intense, and you're like, oh my God. And yeah, it was very, very good. This book really read like a movie. I felt like I was watching a movie in my head. Like, some books just, I mean, I feel like that's always what it's like reading, but sometimes it's easier with different books than it is with other books. So yeah, I really, really, really liked this. I highly recommend it. I think it's great just in general, but I was gonna say, like, it's kind of a good fall book, I guess. It's got some like spooky vibes to it. But yeah, guys, we are off to a very good start here. I'm trying to decide what to read next. I have so many books that I'm dying to read. Like, it's hard to make a decision. I honestly think I'm gonna make this entire video just me reading Kindle Unlimited thrillers. There are so many thrillers available for free with Kindle Unlimited. It's actually crazy. I feel like KU is really known for being like spicy books and dark romance, or at least like the last few years, that's what it's really been known for, like kind of in the book talk sphere, at least what I'm watching. But there are thrillers galore on here. Like, I feel like you could exclusively read Kindle Unlimited thrillers and never get bored. Like, some of the best authors, all of their books are on here. So there's this one book, I think it's what I'm gonna read next, because I see it talked about constantly on TikTok. Like, anytime I get a thriller video, I see people talk about this. It's called What Lies Between Us by John Mars. And all I know about it, guys, my soul pretty much just left my body. I live in an apartment and it's 3:15 a.m. right now. And as I was talking, like, somebody knocked super loudly on a door kind of like down my hall. And I thought it was my door for a second. And I'm like, it's 3 a.m. I mean, it's a Friday night and I have a lot of like college students that live in this apartment, so it's not like that insane, but they were knocking very aggressively and it freaked me out. Like, I kind of had a moment. I kind of was like crouched down behind my door, like trying to look out the people. This is what happens when you stay up till 3 a.m. reading thrillers. You get very freaked out and you're on edge, so I'm a little paranoid now, and now I'm like trying to talk quiet as if anyone can hear me. Anyways, as I was saying, What Lies Between Us by John Mars, I think is what I'm gonna read next. I see people talk about it all the time on TikTok, and all I know about it is it's like a daughter keeping her mother hostage for some reason, and I guess we figure out why as we're reading it. I kind of just read the little synopsis on KU and it doesn't really give much information away either, so I think I'm okay to kind of just go into this blind. People really seem to like it. I keep hearing that it's very gripping and it's, you know, a psychological thriller, so that is what I'm into. Apparently we're doing more weird parent-kid situations here. Maybe that'll be a theme throughout this whole video, but yeah, I am going to start this, maybe not this evening, because again, it's 3 in the morning, but I will start it, and once I get to a place where I have more information about what's going on, I will check in with you guys. So, good night. Okay, hello guys, new day, same spot on the couch. I am 25% into What Lies Between Us, and this book is very interesting. Okay, I knew that it was about a daughter keeping her mom held captive, but there is clearly so much more to that. I mean, obviously, but you go into the story and you meet Nina, who is the daughter, and Maggie, who is the mother, and you realize that Maggie is being held in her own home, in her bedroom. She literally is like chained up to her bed, and then every other day or so, Nina comes, makes them dinner, you know, lets her out of the chains for a minute, and then brings her up, puts her back to bed, chains her back up. She has like a bucket in her room that she leaves for her that she cleans out, and then she leaves her food outside of her door for like breakfast and lunch, but otherwise she's just like locked in this room all day, and all she can do is like look out the window at what's going on like with the neighbors and stuff. And so right away you're like, okay, what's up with Nina? Like, this is not okay, and it's never going to be okay, right, to keep your mom as a prisoner. But we are seeing this story from both of these ladies' perspectives. So, you know, we hear from Nina, we hear from Maggie, and then we're also jumping back to the past and seeing both of their perspectives in the past, like from Nina's childhood and her growing up and what they've both been through. And honestly, I have absolutely no idea where we're gonna go with this story, because you're inclined to like be on the mother's side, right? Because you're like, she's this elderly woman now at this point that's being chained up, but you're like, what would make her daughter do that? Like, something pretty intense had to have happened to make her mom, or to make, you know, the daughter want to do this to her mom. And what is the point of keeping her tied up? Like, is it just punishment? Is she keeping her from doing something? I don't know, but it's kind of one of those things where like when you're in each different chapter, seeing it through each different person's eyes, you're almost like on their side, and then you go to the other person's perspective and you're like, wait, no, I get it. Like, she's crazy. Wait, no, she's crazy. And I'm starting to wonder if maybe they're just both absolutely crazy. I think that might be what's gonna happen here, but I don't know. There's clearly a lot of secrets being, you know, kept, a lot of lies that I think both of them have sort of told over the years, and it's like snowballed, and I think maybe they've like dug themselves like a deeper hole. I don't know. But seeing the past, I mean, yeah, Nina was clearly like a problem child, but also she kind of came from a problematic household situation. We're learning about, you know, the father was out of the picture pretty early on, and yeah, there's a lot that's like not being said currently, and I think things are gonna be revealed over time, but very interesting. It took me a minute to get into it. Like the first chapter or so, I was like, I'm not sure, but very quickly a sort of like bomb was dropped, and I'm like, wait, no, okay, I'm sat. And I feel like every few chapters another thing is kind of revealed where you're given a little bit of information but not enough to where you're like, wait, I have so many questions, so you want to keep going. So yeah, intrigued, kind of feel like I can't put it down, so gonna keep going. I don't know what to think. I feel like my prediction right now is that both of them are crazy and there's no like real, you know, villain or hero in this story, but I guess we're gonna find out. So gonna keep going. Guys, I am like 2/3 of the way through What Lies Between Us. I stayed up so late last night reading because I could not stop, and I got to this point where I was like, if I don't stop now, I'm gonna stay up all night and read the rest of the book. This book is wild. I just got home from working out. I played a little volleyball, and I immediately was like, I need to read this, but I'm like, no, I need to stop. I need to update you guys because this is such a good book. Every time I think it can't get any crazier, it gets crazier. And once again, it's like we're getting both of these perspectives. We're seeing the past, we're seeing the present, and you keep wondering like, who is at fault here, right? Like who's crazy? Am I crazy? Are they all crazy? Some things were just revealed that I kind of had like a theory about this one thing. I'm sorry, I'm being so vague, but I will just say, like, something about the mom and just the family dynamic in general, I kind of had been wondering about for a while, and I was like, is this like what happened here? But I wasn't sure. But oh my god, this absolute bomb was just dropped that I cannot stop thinking about. Whenever it was said, I was like, this is twist after twist. It's one of those things where something gets revealed and you're like, oh, a twist, but then you find out that no, there's a twist on the twist. Am I making any sense? I don't know. But the way that I'm 2/3 in and so much has happened, I just don't know where we're gonna go from here. Like, one thing that I will say without like giving too much away is that you know that Nina, when she was younger, was like very like kind of a wild girl. Like she did a lot when she was a teenager. She, you know, was not very easily controlled. She was a bit rebellious. But like now you come to find out, okay, like her and her mom are living together now, like she has her held hostage, but then it's like you kind of find out they've never stopped living together, which I don't think is a big like spoiler or anything. It's just part of the dynamic that makes the whole thing so much more interesting, because it's like, how do you go from being this super rebellious teenager that like doesn't even want to be around her mom and like doesn't listen to anything she says, is always sneaking out, but then come to find out that like she never moved out and they stayed together like all this time, and now Nina's like, I think she's almost 40, or she's in her early 40s, because the mom is like 67 or 68. So like they've been together all this time, and it's just like, what got us from point A to point B, where we are now, and who is gonna kind of prevail at the end of this? Like, I just don't know where it's gonna land. I don't know where it can possibly land, but I'm gonna finish it. I'm definitely gonna finish it tonight, and I will let you guys know how I feel about it. I hope that it finishes strong. It's so hard to end a thriller. Like, that's just something that I've learned, especially if it's a really good one, if a lot of things are happening, like how do you wrap it up? There's kind of no perfect way to do it, but yeah, expectations are high. This is one of the best thrillers I have ever read, and we're having a good time here. I'm very happy that both of these that I started out with have been really good. So gonna get back to it because I cannot stop thinking about it. Okay guys, I finished What Lies Between Us very late last night, and I am being so serious when I say it might be the best thriller I have ever read. At least it is the best one I have read in a very long time. This book, seriously, up until the last couple of pages, left me guessing what was gonna happen. I really didn't know what direction it was gonna go in, and every time I thought it can't get crazier, it got crazier. And I think the ending was just perfect. Like, there were just so many possibilities that I just wasn't even sure what to predict, and I feel like the way that it ended was not a way that I predicted, and it just left me sitting there like, oh my god. Just everything in this book is not what it seems at every single given point. And there's only one other book that has made me feel insane reading it in the way that this one did, and that was The Housemaid by Freida McFadden, which up until this point has been my favorite thriller I've ever read. They're kind of very different in some senses. The Housemaid is, to me, is just a straight like psychological thriller. Like, that one just messes with your head the entire time, and this one has a lot of that, but there's just a little more to it. There's a little more, I feel like, storytelling to this one with the jumping. I mean, I don't know, Freida McFadden's book does have some of that too, but this one has the kind of jumping back and forth from the past to the present, the two perspectives that are constantly kind of switching, and I don't know, it was just different. There was like more to this one. There was like a lot to the story, a lot of like depth to each of these characters, and just a lot of craziness and a lot going on. But I am so happy I decided to read it. That was just kind of like on a whim. I had seen some people the last like 2 weeks, I would say, just recommending it a lot on TikTok, so I was like, I'll just give it a try. And I'm glad I did, because I mean, it was way better than I was anticipating. I just didn't know what to expect, and it was very, very good. So glad I read that. I honestly want to read more books by John Mars now. He has a few more, and I'm really, really curious, but I'm gonna switch back to good old Freida McFadden while we're talking about her. The Teacher by her has been a thriller that I have been seeing going around a lot as of recent. Whenever I looked on the Kindle store, it's like the #2 thriller right now on KU. So I don't know what it's about. I think I've heard it's about like a teacher-student kind of relationship, which is a little bit scandalous, but I want to give her a try. Her thrillers really are what got me back into reading thrillers. They're just so fast paced. Every single chapter I feel like kind of ends on a bit of a cliffhanger and you just want to keep going. So I'm going to give that a try, get into it, and yeah, we'll let you know more of what it's about once I know, but having a very good time here. Okay guys, I am about 25% into The Teacher, and this book concept so far is very, very interesting. Like I said, going into it, I didn't really know what it was about. I kind of heard it was like a teacher-student relationship sort of thing. So the story is actually being told from two perspectives. The first one being this woman. She is a teacher at this school, this high school, and she is married to a man that is also a teacher at the high school, and he apparently is like super attractive. Like her husband is the hottest teacher at school. Like all the teachers are obsessed with him, like the students are all obsessed with him, and I guess he's kind of like out of her league apparently. Like it's kind of a talked about thing that it's like, oh, how did she get him, whatever. So it's from her perspective, and like she knows her husband's really hot and everybody loves him, but it's very clear that their marriage is not very happy. Like they kind of have a routine of like they kiss 3 times a day and she knows exactly when it's gonna happen, and they sleep together like once a month on the first Saturday of the month, and I guess they're kind of living together and they play nice, but it's just she like has this hatred for him, it seems, and I don't know if it's like a mutual hatred or it's just her. Like I don't know. There's clearly a lot more to this, because right now he kind of seems like the perfect person, like the perfect sort of husband. He seems very nice, so I feel like there's going to be more to that. I'm not quite sure, but the other perspective it is told from is this girl named Addie, who is a student at the school, and apparently I think she's a junior now, so like the school year just started, like the new school year, and I guess that the previous year there were rumors going around that she had an affair with this like much older teacher that was like in his 50s, and basically everyone in the school thinks like her and him were hooking up, but I guess according to her, from her perspective, I don't know if this is an unreliable narrator, she says that didn't happen, like it wasn't like that, nothing happened. Like it's been very like vague about, clearly like something went on between her and that teacher. They had some form of a relationship, but apparently it wasn't a sexual relationship. I don't know, clearly there's more to that story, but yeah, so that teacher was fired and now the school year is starting again, and she's getting really horribly bullied. Like nobody wants to hang out with her, and so she's very like isolated on her own. She had this guy best friend that she was very close with that clearly they had some sort of falling out because they're not talking anymore, and he is now dating this girl who is this really popular girl that's like horribly bullying her. So we have her perspective going on with that. And another thing is she is a student in both the husband and the wife's class. The wife teaches math and the husband teaches English, and she is really good in English. She loves poetry and he loves poetry. So where we've kind of left off now is she has joined like his poetry club because she wrote a poem and he thought it was great, and so she is now like a part of his poetry club. So I think this is one of those stories where, again, we don't really know who to trust and what's really going on here, and it's kind of like, okay, we're getting this girl's perspective and then we're getting this teacher's perspective, but then she has kind of a thing going on with the husband and we don't have his perspective right now. So I think these stories are obviously going to come together somehow. Right now the wife seems a little bit crazy and Addie seems very normal. I mean, her perspective seems very just straightforward, and she's just like a high school girl and she seems very normal, but then she'll randomly say these things that are very, again, vague, and you're like, wait, what do you mean by that? And every chapter is very short, and it's kind of ending on like them saying a line where you're like, wait, elaborate, like what do you mean by that? So 25% in, like I said, that's what I know so far. The beginning of the book, literally the first page started with somebody like burying a body. So it was just, I don't know whose perspective it was from, but it was the very first page of the prologue was somebody burying a body, and then it just jumped to now these perspectives of these people. So I don't know who's killing who or what's happening, but very interesting, very unique sort of setup so far. I've kind of binged this first little chunk, so I feel like it might be a long night again, But yeah, once I have a better idea, I will check back in with you guys, but so far so good. Okay, hello guys. I think I've been wearing this shirt in the last 3 clips that I've done, even though it's been 3 different days. We don't need to talk about it. You probably wouldn't have noticed if I didn't point it out, but you know. Anyways, I'm about 60% to the teacher, and the student-teacher relationship part of the story has begun, and everything already was a little bit intense and there was a lot going on, and the relationship between all of the people in the story, very complicated. Now 10 times more complicated. I am so, I don't want to say conflicted, but you know, the spicy reader in me, the girl that loves like a scandalous, forbidden little romance, is kind of like, oh my gosh, like this is kind of wild. But also, it's so inappropriate and so icky. Like, things kind of go from 0 to 100 so fast. Obviously, me saying, oh, I love a forbidden romance is not me being like, I condone student-teacher relationships. Obviously not. It's kind of scandalous and fun to read because I just know all the shit's gonna hit the fan. But it seems like it happened so fast, and it's so funny. I just like think about whenever I was young and, you know, watching Pretty Little Liars, and the student-teacher relationship of it all was just like, ooh, so scandalous. Did I already say this? Maybe I just thought it. I can't remember if I said it yet in the video, but it was just so scandalous, and you're like, oh, what's the big deal? Let them be together. But now it's like I'm 27 and I am just thinking about the fact that this man is 38 and this student is 16. And I just think about who I was at 16, and I know when I was 16, I thought I was so adult and so grown and like knew everything. But it's like, no, you didn't, sis. And I, as a 27-year-old, I'm like, I don't even want to be in the same room with a 16-year-old, much less talk to them, much less have a relationship. So all sorts of ickiness, and also like hearing the way he talks to her, and just like the, I feel something for you that I've never felt for anyone before. Like, poor me. Like, I have to find my soulmate, and she's 2 decades younger than me. I'm just like, oh my gosh, you were so disgusting. So that happened, and I've just been sitting here with my jaw like on the floor, and yeah, this is a little bit complicated because now we've got, you know, this husband-wife teacher duo that are kind of in this unhappy marriage, but also at the same time, like, they're married. But then, you know, the husband's messing around with the student, we still don't know. Is she insane? Might be. We've learned some things about her. There was a bomb dropped about her past that was like, oh my God. So I fear his history might be like repeating itself again with that. So I don't know. At this point, I kind of have like 3 possible routes I feel like this might be going. So I'll be interested to see if there's like a total plot twist, or it's one of these ways that I'm thinking. Anyways, just had to pop in and give you guys my reaction to that, because I needed to take a little mental break, but gonna get back into it now. Okay guys, I finished The Teacher just a little bit ago, and truly blown away. It has been a hot minute since I've read a Freida McFadden thriller. I was on a kick of reading her for a while, and it's been several months, and I kind of forgot how up until the epilogue, she keeps the plot twist going. You never really know when the story is done. And I mean, this book, it had 3 parts to it, and each part got progressively like crazier. Like, the stakes were raised, the story kind of changed. I mean, even from the first part, it seemed pretty complex, you know, like these different people involved, like what it was gonna be, but it just became something and then something else. And by the end, literally up until the epilogue, like something just went completely over my head. I just didn't see it coming at all. And you know, there was kind of like a lot of characters involved in this story, and there were moments where I was like, okay, like, what is the point of this character exactly? And then I was just like, you know what? There's probably not much to it. Like, it's just a side character. No, there's always something to it. Every single person, every single thing matters and becomes something. So good. Not what I thought it was gonna be. I love, again, there was a bit of an unreliable narrator situation in this, or I don't even know if that's quite what it is, but just, you never really know who to trust. Like, I love when there's not necessarily one good guy at the end, or like, you know, maybe everybody has something a little bit wrong with them. I love it. It was fantastic. Seriously, I mean, this has to be my second favorite Freida McFadden thriller, right behind The Housemaid. They were very different from each other, but this one was just so good. I need to count up like how many of her books I've read now, because it's been quite a few. I want to eventually do like a ranking every Freida McFadden book, because that would be fun, but I have quite a few to get through. I was at Barnes & Noble actually yesterday, and I was just looking at all of her books on a shelf, and I was like, read it, but there's so many that I have not read. So, and it's really funny. I've actually watched a lot of TikToks of people like ranking all of her books, and people have such drastically different opinions. Like I mean, there's even some of her books that people love, like Never Lie. That's one that I see so many people say is like their favorite. They love it. That one like didn't quite do it for me. I definitely talked about that in my other like Freida McFadden thriller vlog, but that one didn't quite do it for me, but that's so many people's favorites. But then there's other ones that I would see people absolutely trashing. They're like, this is my least favorite of her books, and then it would be someone else's favorite. And so I'm just like, okay, I want to read them all for myself and then do my own definitive ranking at some point. So maybe I'll do like another just exclusively Freida McFadden thriller vlog at some point. But I think next, I just happened to see, once I finished that book, it popped up and it was like, okay, suggested books on Kindle Unlimited, and Local Woman Missing by Mary Kubica is on Kindle Unlimited, which I'm like, are these traditionally published thrillers just ending up on Kindle Unlimited now? I just didn't know that was a thing. Like, usually these traditionally published books are not on KU. So I've been wanting to read that forever. I feel like that is one of those thrillers where anytime you go to a bookstore, I mean, or just any store like Target, Walmart, whatever, if there is a thriller section, I always see Local Woman Missing. So been on my list for a long time. And I kind of just like have this thing where I don't love to buy thrillers anymore, like paperback thrillers, just because I feel like thrillers are kind of like a one-time read, you know? For the most part, I don't know, there's not a lot of thrillers that I feel like I'd want to read again, so I don't know, I've kind of been sticking to like the Kindle Unlimited thrillers. So anyways, now that it's on there, I'm like, okay, I definitely feel like I need to read it, because I feel like I'm the only person that hasn't. So that is what I'm gonna do next. I don't remember what it's about. I feel like it's one of those stories where a girl went missing. She was murdered a long time ago. People maybe thought the case was closed, and now it's like, maybe there's another woman missing now, or like the case is reopened. Maybe I'm making all that up, but I definitely read the description of it like a million years ago, but now I just want to go into it blind. So yeah, y'all know the drill. I will get started, and when I know a little bit more, I will check back in. Okay guys, I have absolutely flown through the first third of Local Woman Missing. It is so good so far. It is very gripping. I've got pulled into the story right away, and it was one of those things where I didn't even realize I was as far as I was. So it's very good, but it's also kind of complicated, just the story itself and also the structure that it's told. So I will try my best to explain it. But basically the story opens up and you get the perspective of this woman that lives in this neighborhood. Her name is Shelby. She has a husband. She has a newborn child that's just a few weeks old. You basically see like some things are kind of like not great in her marriage and her household, and she's going out for a run very late at night. Her husband has gotten home. This is really the only time she has to herself. So she's going out for a run late at night, and you can see that something goes wrong. And we find out later that she went missing after that. Nobody ever heard from her again. So Shelby goes missing. This is 11 years in the past, by the way. So about 2 weeks after Shelby goes missing, another woman that lives in her same neighborhood, her name is Meredith, her and her 6-year-old daughter Delilah go missing as well. So we find this out, but right after we meet Shelby, we actually get Delilah's point of view, and we find out that we see that Delilah has been held captive. Like, she has been kidnapped, she has been held by these people, and so you get the perspective of Delilah right at the beginning of the story, basically kind of escaping the situation, escaping her captors. You see this woman ends up finding her, and she's like, what's your name? And she's like, I'm Delilah. And immediately she goes, oh my gosh, this is the girl that has been missing for 11 years. She was 6 years old when she went missing. Now she's 17. She's very like underdeveloped, clearly has not been cared for, hasn't been to school, hasn't been, you know, she's in a rough situation. So we have Delilah, who has now reappeared 11 years later. So we're seeing present day now that situation, but we're also jumping back to the past 11 years ago. So you're seeing the perspective of Meredith, who is Delilah's mom. You're seeing kind of, I guess, the events leading up to what makes her go missing. And then you're also seeing the perspective of there are these next door neighbors that live next to Meredith and Delilah's family. These two women live there together, and we're getting their perspectives of what's going on. Basically, the night that Meredith's husband comes over and is like, hey, I haven't heard from Meredith all day. Delilah's nowhere to be found. Have you guys seen them? They have not seen them. So we're getting their perspective too on this entire situation. We're also getting the perspective present day from Leo, who is Delilah's younger brother. So a lot of perspectives, a lot of jumping around. I can tell that this is going to be one of those situations where the stories all kind of come together and eventually make sense. One thing did just happen that made it clear that there is a connection between, you know, these kind of disappearances, like a small connection. I don't know what it means yet or how it applies to anything, but that has just kind of been a bomb that's been dropped. So very, very interested to see what the deal is with this. I don't know if Delilah's gonna like speak out more. We're gonna find out why she was taken, and I'm very confused how like the kidnapping of her has to do with her mother's disappearance and the other woman's disappearance and how it all comes together. This seems to be like a very good, nice neighborhood. Everyone's very friendly, so it's just like a weird situation. But yeah, it's a story that has me very, very gripped. And just the way that it's jumping around so much between past and present and all these different characters, and every character kind of has like a very distinct way of like speaking or thinking, like their storytelling is very distinct. You know, you're getting the perspective of like this child, and then also, you know, the woman that's been kidnapped, and then these kind of outside neighbors perspective on the whole thing. It's just very, very interesting. I don't really know that I've read something that has like this many elements to the storytelling. So yeah, I'm gonna keep going and I will check in a little bit further. Okay guys, I finished. It's midnight right now and I physically couldn't put this book down. I felt like there were so many points where my jaw dropped and I was like, oh, maybe I should pop in an update, but I couldn't stop. I literally, after I finished that last clip, I sat here on this couch and I finished the rest of this book in one sitting. It was crazy. It was so crazy. I had a feeling it was gonna be good. I mean, it was good from the very beginning, but like I said, there were so many moving parts to this story and just so many things that went into the mystery of it all. Like so many unresolved sort of like issues and plot points. And I was just like, how is this all gonna come together? Like what could possibly be the explanation for this? And there were so many times where your attention was kind of like pointed at someone in particular or something in particular. Like there were so many distractions throughout the story, one of them being like such a main thing this entire time that was so key to the story, and then at the end you're like, wait, what? Like the rug is just like pulled out from under you. It was actually crazy. Whenever this sort of like main, I guess, plot twist reveal of it all happened, I was so caught off guard. I'm almost like mad at myself that I didn't put two and two together. Like I kind of wondered, I don't want to like say anything because I do not want to give this away because I am so highly recommending this book, but at one point I wondered if like someone had to be involved in this because I was just trying to like understand it all, but I just didn't know how that would make sense, and I just certainly I didn't expect what happened by any means. And yeah, I'm shook. I'm beyond shook. It's so hard to talk about it without spoiling it, but insane. Like this, seriously, I mean, it was so interesting how the whole story kind of took place in this like neighborhood, like this one street, and there were so many people from the neighborhood involved, and there's just so much drama. And again, now I'm thinking of a certain like plot point or certain piece of drama that happened that it seemed like such a big deal at the time, and I was like, oh my god, like this is gonna be the answer to everything. And it mattered, but it also like didn't at all in the end. So there were just so many things that like just were diverting your attention all over the place. It was so good, so good. Honestly, Every single one of these books was so good. I completely recommend all of them. Like, it is so rare that that happens. I feel like as of late, especially, like I've kind of had a bunch of like disappointments when reading. So I really needed this. I am so just on my reading kick. I mean, thrillers especially, it's kind of hard to, I mean, I love reading thrillers, but I find so often that it's hard to end them, you know? It's hard to really wrap them up in like a perfect bow. And every single one of these books was so good. I mean, again, I would recommend every single one, but if I had to pick, it's so hard, like, because I just finished this one and it was so good that I feel like this one was the best, but I feel like it might have been the best anyways. I don't know. It's between this one, Local Woman Missing, and What Lies Between Us as the best one, in my opinion. I think What Lies Between Us is maybe above, or this, I don't know. They could go hand in hand. They were very different, but also, I don't know. Those two I think were the best. The teacher, honestly, of all of these was the most like fun read. I think that's what's throwing me off. This book had some parts to it that were like difficult to read and not very fun and made me like kind of uncomfortable, and it wasn't as pleasant of a read. It was a little bit depressing, a little bit dark. And What Lies Between Us had some of that too. Like, it was a very hard read, but that one was just so psychologically enticing that it was a little bit more enjoyable. The teacher was just kind of fun. Like, it definitely had some crazy moments, but there was like some scandal to it. There was some parts at the end where you're like, oh my gosh, like what is going on? Like, even some sort of paranormal aspects, I will say, in a way, to the teacher, that I think that was the funnest of these reads. But also, Hidden Pictures had the hidden pictures, like the drawings throughout. So that was fun too. If I'm giving a definitive ranking right now, I feel like What Lies Between Us, I don't know, because I flew through this one the fastest. Okay, I'm just gonna go with my gut. Local Woman Missing, What Lies Between Us, The Teacher, and then probably Hidden Pictures. But like I've said 5 times, I would recommend every single one. They were all very good. As you can tell, I'm gonna end the video here because it's been a week now. I've read 4 books. I feel like this video is getting kind of long, so I'm gonna cut it here. I definitely would love to do another one of these. So I'm sure I'm going to, especially now that we're getting into fall. I love a good thriller, so I'll probably just start another vlog and continue to read more. I kind of think I might do another exclusively Freida McFadden one. Honestly though, after reading Local Woman Missing, whenever I got to the end of the book, it popped up with like other Mary Kubica books. So maybe I'll do a reading vlog where I read like 3 of her books, because she has several, and I mean, her writing style, big fan. I mean, she pulled me in very quickly, and I know she's obviously like a popular author because, as I said, I've seen this book everywhere. So I might try that. I don't know. If you guys have any suggestions of thrillers you would like to see me read, any like authors specifically you would like me to check out, I would be so happy to do that. Always love to get a thriller recommendation. But yeah, if you watched to the end, thank you so much for watching. If you have read any of these books, I would love to hear your thoughts on them. It's funny, Local Woman Missing specifically, I wanted to read this for so long, and I filmed several like TikToks or maybe even YouTube videos where I was, you know, book shopping, and I pointed out the book and I was like, let me know if y'all have read this. And it had such mixed reviews. I saw a lot of people that were like, oh, it's great. But several people, I remember a TikTok specifically where I talked about it, several people commented and saying that they didn't like it, or they didn't like the ending, or it fell apart for them and it wasn't for them. So it's just so funny how people have such different opinions. Anyways, oh my God, I'm rambling. Thanks for watching. I will talk to you guys very soon. Bye-bye.